Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Into the Hive Mind. We've got round 3 of the Denver 40K January Fight Club event. I was 1-1 before this. If you haven't seen those games, go ahead and check them out. I will put the links down below in the description. But now we're up to round 3, where I am playing against Bryan Gorny and his Gene Stealer Cult. He is playing the Biosanctic Broodsurge detachment. This is an army that Gorny's been playing for a while and is gorgeously painted. Gorny is an excellent painter, won best painted army multiple times, and I believe he either got first or second this time. I don't remember, but he always does very well with that, and well deserved. The models are incredible. I asked him if he had to paint any additional models for this event, and he's like, "Nah, this army's been done for a while." So, congrats to him on that. But let's get into what his actual list is. So again, we're Biosanctic Broodsurge. So looking at that, it is all melee all the time. Essentially, in this detachment, any aberrant or pure strain gene stealer units, as well as biophagus units, get +1 attack and +1 strength on the charge, and then I think they also get the entire detachment gets +1 to charge. So with that, kind of the combination that you make is you have obviously pure strain gene stealers. You want to take a bunch of those. So Gorny has 2 5-man gene stealer units. They do infiltrate. So as you can see in the top center, you have this is 5 pure strain gene stealers infiltrated in the pocket up there. And then in the right center ruin, kind of a U ruin there, he has a Reductus Saboteur with 5 more pure strain gene stealers that all infiltrated forward. And in the other ruin, bottom right corner, he has another Reductus Saboteur that infiltrated forward kind of into that corner. And then obviously you want aberrants, as those are the other data sheets that get the buffs from this detachment. So in the, again, top middle, you have just behind that ruin, you have 10 aberrants with an abominant. And then in the middle ruin, you have 5 aberrants by themselves just behind that. And bottom right ruin, you have 5 more aberrants with another abominant character. Also in that bottom right ruin, you have a Goliath truck, and inside that truck is 10 metamorphs with a biophagus. So they do become a biophagus unit, and they also get the +1 attack and strength. So those guys are waiting in the truck. They do have hand flamers, so that is a pretty good unit, as the truck shoots and gives reroll wounds. So these are basically 10 twin-linked hand flamers, as long as the truck pokes out and shoots whatever they want to shoot. Then, of course, you are playing Gene Stealer Cult, so you have 2 Achilles Ridge Runners, both of these with mortars that will strip cover and give +1 AP against whatever they shoot against. This combos really well with Biosanctic, as you need that extra AP in melee, as everything is AP 1 or 2, and going to 2 or 3 makes a huge difference. And then combining that with the Reductus Saboteur, you actually do have a decent amount of indirect that you can just kind of chip away any small squads sitting on objectives. I don't have any of those, but in other matchups, they are great. But also taking a look as to what is in reserve, Gorny does have 10 Pure Strain Gene Stealers attached to a a Patriarch. And the Patriarch does have an enhancement that gives him an extra AP and damage. So he's AP 4 flat 3 damage in this detachment. And of course, Twin Linked and Dev Wounds, same as our Broodlord. Gorny also has 3 5-man Acolyte hybrid squads with hand flamers, all in reserves, as well as a 4th Acolyte squad sitting on his home, and those guys will generate him a CP on a 4-up at the beginning of his command phase, as long as he is on an objective. So those guys are planning on just sitting there with the Ridge Runner all game long. Let's double check that I didn't miss anything, and no, that is his army. Keep in mind, Genestealer Cult do have 10 Resurgence points, which I put up on the top by the scoreboard. So he does have 10 Resurgence points, bringing back like a 5-man unit is generally 2, a 10-man unit is generally 4. But it is once a unit is fully destroyed, you spend those points and put a identical unit back in reserve. So he does. That is kind of the entire advantage of playing Genestealer Cult is you basically get like an extra 400 to 600 points depending on how you use your Resurgence points. However, you can never bring characters back. The Abominants do stand up on a 2+. Seems pretty good. Yeah, let's get into it. My list, I'll just do a brief recap on my list because, again, this should be the third video you're watching with me playing it. But in case you just want a quick refresher, I am playing Subterranean Assault. So I have 3 5-man Ravener units that are all able to burrow and make tunnel tokens for me, which allow me to teleport my army all over the place. I have 2 Tyrannofexes as big anti-tank, as I'm worried about Vindicators and Catan in this meta especially. And plus because I'm playing Subterranean, which does not have any durability strats in it at all, I needed to take durable data sheets, and Tyrannofexes are exactly those. In addition, I took triple Maliceptor. I love those in Subterranean. I think they're in every Subterranean list for me from now on, just because of how durable they are. Really is important in this Subterranean Assault detachment. I also have the Swarmlord, absolutely incredible in this detachment with reroll 1s to hit, makes him reroll all hits and all wounds, becomes very reliable, and teleporting around a Vectora is incredible. Also gives me the CP that I need to really make this detachment function. Then I've been struggling on primary, so I brought myself a Norn just to basically go and sit on my expansion objective and guarantee that I hold my home and my expansion for pretty much the whole game was the general idea. As you can see in this game, I did deploy him going after the center objective, though. Yeah, so let's talk about my deployment. I just kind of deployed on the line. Gorny does not really have guns. I don't really have guns. I don't have long-range guns, at least, other than the Rupture Fexes, which are not going to be that great in this matchup, obviously. If I get to shoot the truck or the Ridge Runners, then great. But otherwise, I deployed them right on the line, and I'm hoping that they're going to be big, beefy shields that I put right in the front, and they take the first hit, and then allow my army to respond in kind. So that's kind of my thoughts behind my deployment. I don't really need to hide that much. I did a little bit, but for the most part, I just deployed everything on the line. I'm not that worried about Gorny hitting me turn 1. He maybe could with like the 2 5-man Genestealer squads, and I'm not worried about that at all. So yeah, everything just deploys on the line, and I'm relying on me being big and beefy and difficult for Gorny to kill is kind of the whole game plan here. As far as the mission, we are playing Scorched Earth, so that is the other thing about this mission is you only need to hold 2 objectives. There's not really any reason to go and hold more. We are playing with the Crucible of Battle deployment. You only need to hold 2 primary objectives, and then burning objectives gives you extra primary, which is very easy to do if you have bottom of turn. It's much harder if you are going first. Getting into the actual game itself, Gorny does win the roll-off to go first, which means I do get to go second on Scorched Earth, which definitely does give me an advantage right off the bat, and forces Gorny to have to be a little more aggressive. So at the beginning of the turn, he draws Extend Battle Lines and Recover Assets. Those are definitely not bad objectives to get at all when you're going top of 1. But in terms of movement, there was not a whole lot of movement going on. He basically moved these 5 Genestealers forward to kind of movement block me. But also, it was only 5 Genestealers, so it was kind of like I don't want to say half-hearted movement block, but there just wasn't enough to it to really block me. But basically, they strung out from where I put the token to having one guy barely touch that objective on the bottom right. Gorny's expansion objective. Other than that, these Aberrant and Abominant, the big 10-man, basically just kind of push forward also into this pocket. And everyone else just kind of positioned. I think the truck came over here. And these guys moved up here to be behind the wall. And these guys did the same. And that was kind of it. I think one Goliath did recover alongside the Gene Stealers in the top middle pocket ruin. So he gets his 3 points for recover, he gets his extend, and he took some pot shots with his other Ridge Runner, but it didn't do anything. So actually he killed 3 gargoyles. Sorry, he took some pot shots with it and killed 3 gargoyles. And that was it. That was the end of Gorny's turn 1. But going into my turn 1, I drew Cleanse and Overwhelming Force. I elected to toss Overwhelming Force, which you can do turn 1, and instead got Storm Hostile. So I just need to take the expansion objective, which I can do. And yeah, so moving into my movement. Essentially, everyone moved forward. I advanced the Norn. I think I just needed a 1 on my advance to touch the objective. These Maliceptors both kind of moved up here to get lines on the Gene Stealers. This one Tyrannifex went over and toe tapped this objective. I will say the terrain setups in this event are just ever so slightly different than the actual GW. So if it looks like I shouldn't be able to be somewhere because of a wall, yeah, the terrain layout is just ever so slightly different than the actual GW layout. For example, the home objective L's are actually the other way in this mission. So flip those L's to where they're in the other corner on your home objective. Yeah, they're slightly different. So if it looks like I'm standing in a wall or I shouldn't be able to do something, for example, this Tyrannifex, it does look like that wall is blocking off that objective. It's not. There's a little lip here. Actually, I think that wall is on the objective marker. So I think that wall is on the edge of that piece of terrain. Yeah. Yes, it 100% is. So that's why. So actually, I think I'm more like here. I think I just advanced forward. Okay. And other movement, this Norn also went up onto this objective. This Maliceptor went down here, and then this Maliceptor actually went over here to support the Tyrannifex. Raveners just kind of, they uppy downied. So at the end of Gorny's turn, I picked up all of the Raveners, and then they kind of went back in the same spots. They just made tunnel tokens in the process. My Gargoyles did come over just to kind of screen over here and get ready to flip my expansion objective when Gorny inevitably takes it back with the 10 Abominant unit, is going to out OC the Tyrannifex, even if it doesn't kill it, because I'm killing at most one guy and I'm only OC5. So I know that Gorny is going to inevitably counterpunch this Tyrannifex and will take that objective, and then the Gargoyles are there just to take it back. Yeah, that looks like about it. As we get into my shooting phase, I don't have a whole lot of shooting, but my 2 Maliceptors by the Norn. First Maliceptor shoots, kills, I think, 2 Gene Stealers. Second Maliceptor shoots and kills the rest. So these Gene Stealers are destroyed. And then I do shoot a Spore Mine, and I put it right here. Again, I'm just kind of also trying to screen Gorny out as he is playing Gene Stealer Cult, so everything deep strikes, and he could potentially get like really crazy supercharges right off the bat. So this is just me protecting Swarmlord. And sorry, my Raveners come in here and make a tunnel token. And then my Raveners come in back here and make a tunnel token right here. And the third Ravener unit just comes in right by my home and makes a tunnel token right here. I think I did actually get Swarmlord in there just in case. And yeah, so that is the end of my turn 1 in terms of cleanse. Let's see, did I score cleanse? Sorry. Yes, I scored a 5 on cleanse. So it looks like the Norn and the Tyrannifex probably did not have to advance. The one on my expansion and the Norn on the center, I guess they did not have to advance, and they were able to just walk forward and cleanse. And then I advanced the 1 Tyrannifex onto Gorny's expansion. So I get 5 for Cleanse, and I get 4 for Overwhelming Force as the Tyrannifex walked onto the objective that Gorny had some Gene Stealers on. So big 9-point secondary turn for me. Oh, and then Gorny does spend 2 Resurgence points and returns those Gene Stealers back into reserve. So there's a 5-man Gene Stealer unit also in reserve now. And then we go on to Gorny's turn 2. For Gorny's turn 2, he draws Area Denial and Sabotage. And there's a Norn sitting there for Area Denial, so he immediately spends a CP, tosses that, and instead gets no prisoners. So no prisoners and Sabotage, and then he does score 5 primary for holding his home. In terms of movement, I apologize, these Gene Stealers had actually moved up into this pocket last turn, so I think he actually had 3 Gene Stealers on this objective that the Tyrannifex then just moved forward and auto-seed and cleansed. But because now on this turn, these Gene Stealers do move up to here to charge my Gargoyles, which are strung out kind of all across that ruin. So even though, here, the token is kind of, this is actually the footprint of the Gargoyles. These 10 Aberrants and Abominant move forward to charge into the Tyrannifex. These Aberrants move down to charge. No, not those ones. These ones move over to charge, as well as the truck pokes its head out, and the 10 Metamorphs with Biophagus get out of the truck and move forward for a charge over here. So they are going to get to shoot their Hand Flamers and be twin linked thanks to the truck shooting. The Saboteurs, I think, both stay where they're at to do some chip damage. And the only thing I think that comes in from reserve is these guys show up right here. These 5 Aberrants stay in this ruin and begin a sabotage. So then we get into his shooting phase. He does shoot the truck at the Tyrannifex, as well as the Goliath at it. So, or the Achilles Ridge Runners shoot at it to get +1 AP and ignores cover. And then the truck and the Flamers shoot at it, and I think chip away like 2 wounds. Nothing crazy, but he is fully re-rolling wounds, getting AP, ignoring cover, so I'm saving on 3-ups. He's wounding me on 6s. He's strength 3, so he doesn't care that I'm T12. T6 would still be wounding on 6s. Just wounding on 6s, re-rolling, hands me, I think, like 8 saves, and I failed 2 of them. Took a little bit of damage there. But other than that, not too much, other than the other Ridge Runner shoots at my other Tyrannifex to also get an additional pip of AP in combat over there. And then we go to charges. I don't remember what kind of CP usage he does here, if any, but literally everybody makes their charges. We got Metamorphs here, we got 5 Aberrants and an Abominant here, we have 10 Aberrants and an Abominant here, and we have the Gene Stealers here, where I do heroically intervene with these Raveners, where basically the way that everything ends up based, 2 of his Gene Stealers are allowed to allocate their attacks into my Raveners, but then I'm going to be able to hit him with all the Raveners to kill those Gene Stealers. So the way the combats went, the Metamorphs with Biophagus attacked first. I don't remember how much damage they did, but they, like 5 wounds, I think, maybe 6. So yeah, they're 2 damage each. So probably like 6 wounds, something like that. And then the Aberrants went, and the Aberrants killed off the Tyrannifex. I was saving my blank of damage for the Abominant. We didn't even make it to the Abominant. The Aberrants killed me. Having everything be having the Aberrants be AP 3 does make a huge difference. He also has a strat for +1 to wound against monsters, but I think he saves that for the top squad. So he managed to, just kill off that Tyrannifex with these 2 squads. And actually, I believe it did explode. As I said, my Tyranids were very explosive this entire event. I believe I did explode here, and I killed like 4 or 5 Metamorphs and 1 Aberrant. And I hurt my Maliceptor I don't remember the amount, but heard it for a little bit. And then up top here, the exact same thing happened where just the Aberrants killed the Tyrannifex. I was saving my blank damage for the Abominant. We didn't even get there. 10 Aberrants. I do think he used +1 to wound on there, but 10 Aberrants with +1 to wound, +1 AP does completely kill off the Tyrannifex. So they were not as durable as I was hoping. I was kind of hoping that they would take a significant chunk of damage and live, and then I would be able to hit. But they did their job. They both took big hits and put Gorny out in the open. I just wish that they had survived, but these guys do hit pretty hard. The only thing that was worked out pretty well in my favor was the Gene Stealers over here kind of whiffed. 2 of them went into the Raveners, 3 of them went into the Gargoyles. 3 Gene Stealers did not kill 7 Gargoyles. They actually only killed 4. So I ended up with like 3 Gargoyles left, which I just pulled out of combat back down to here. And then the Raveners piled into combat and did kill off the Gene Stealers. When I did so, Gorny elected not to bring those Gene Stealers back, so held on to his resurgence points there. And then for the end of his turn, he does score a 4 on no prisoners, as well as he is cooking sabotage with the 5-man aberrant unit in his middle ruin. At the end of Gorny's turn, I do pick up these Raveners and these Raveners. However, I did keep the 3rd unit on the table, as they have aberrants right in front of them. They do have a target to go after. So kept them on the table. Going into my bottom of 2. Beginning of my turn 2, I draw... I drew Tempting Target, which he elected his expansion objective, so I spent a CP, tossed that, and instead got Behind Enemy Lines and Extend Battle Lines. Behind Enemy Lines I'm probably also not really getting. Maybe I can fit a Spore Mine somewhere, but yeah, unlikely. And then there's Extend. That one I can do. I already have it because of the Norn and the Biovore. So... going into my turn 2, I do get 10 primary, as I do hold the center and my home. The Norn Biovore combo is getting me the 10 points as it was supposed to be doing. Oh, and never mind. Looking at the table for the movement and everything, it does actually look like Gorny did spend his 2 resurgence points to bring the top Gene Stealer squad back as well. So he might have gone back and forth on that, because I was remembering him saying no, but maybe he did say no and then changed his mind. Went down to 6 resurgence points. So he does have 2 Gene Stealers, because they do, in this detachment, their tokens that they get to create, they do get to Rapid Ingress for free. And he does Rapid Ingress with both of these Gene Stealer squads this turn. But as far as my movement, this Norn walked over to the other side of this objective, still toe tapping it, but he can see these 5 acolytes over here. So he's going to shoot them. Swarmlord comes up to fight these guys. I kind of went back and forth on that because I know he doesn't kill the whole squad. And I didn't know if I wanted to throw Swarmlord away on turn 2. But I was kind of hoping, and then the Raveners come over to help as well. And then over here on the bottom, this Maliceptor just moves forward to shoot and then charge. This Maliceptor moves forward to shoot, because again, keep in mind, these guys are actually, there's a decent amount of them on the other side of this wall. So moved down to shoot these guys, and this Maliceptor moved up to hopefully help Swarmlord. I think that's like an 8-inch charge the Maliceptor needed. And my 3 Gargoyles, they went up here to steal this objective, and these Hand Flamer guys actually overwatched them and killed them. That's where they went. So I was trying to be sneaky, and actually I think they were even going for behind. Like they advanced up there, and then they were planning on shooting and scooting into behind, and they just got overwatched by Hand Flamers. That makes sense. They died. So that is that. And then as far as my reserves, I did get to use the Nidus Worm down here, and with these guys pop out and be 6 away, and create another tunnel token right here. And then these Raveners just showed up back here to screen my backfield again, with the help of a Pyrovore, also just screening my backfield. And I created another tunnel token, which is now like up here. This Spore Mine was also helping in screening, and it just advanced over to here. Let's go into my shooting phase. As discussed, I had both Maliceptors shot into Aberrants. Yeah, because I wanted to charge the Metamorphs with the Maliceptor. So I shot into Aberrants, and I think I did kill a decent number of them, like 4, between the 2 Maliceptors, both shooting. And then the Norn did shoot his blast profile, and he did manage to kill these guys. And these are the ones that I know Gorny did not bring back. So I managed to kill 5 Flamer Acolytes there just with the Norn shooting. And Swarmlord's Flamer went into these guys as well as... Actually, I don't know if the Maliceptor could see them because he was not... I don't think he was wholly in the terrain. So I think it was just Swarmlord's Flamer who didn't kill a guy. And yeah, then we get into charges. The Maliceptor does easily make the charge into the Metamorphs, as does the Raveners. The Swarmlord makes his charge in, as do the Raveners, but the Maliceptor fails. So then we get into the actual fights. I do elect to go with Swarmlord first, as he could potentially die to an interrupt. Actually, I don't think he could interrupt because Swarmlord's Vectora, it was 3 CP. So I started down here, and I did just obliterate the 10 Metamorphs and the Biophagus with these guys piling back onto the objective. As far as up top, I do kill off a good chunk of the Aberrants. I think I kill like 7 of them. However, they do fight on death, kill the Raveners, unfortunately. So I'm down to Swarmlord fighting the Abominant, and yeah, like 3 Aberrants remaining. I think everyone that fought on death went into the Raveners, and then the Abominant went into Swarmlord, and I think he got 1 hit through, did like 4 damage. So that is the end of my turn 2. I do get my extend very easily just for holding those 2 objectives. Let me double check for a Spore Mine. And there is... yeah, nothing for behind. I was not able to fit a Spore Mine anywhere. So, unfortunate. Oh, because, yeah, Gorny did, like I said, he rapid ingressed 2 Genestealer squads there and there. So because of that, I was not able to fit a Spore Mine in his backfield. Okay, so at the end of the turn, I just get the 4 for extend. And we're fighting. It is now Gorny's go turn for sure on turn 3. So with it being Gorny's go turn, I definitely considered doing Shadow in the Warp here, but keep in mind a decent amount of, or at least the 10 Genestealers and Patriarch are still in reserve and not going to be hit by it. And everything that is on the table is kind of hurt a little bit. And we're playing Scorched Earth, so doing it turn 5 would be the best case scenario if I can hold on to it that long. So I decide to hold on to it, and Gorny for his turn 3 draws Bring It Down and Storm Hostile. So definitely just a go turn. So he can, just taking his expansion gives him Storm Hostile. I believe he already holds... maybe we contested the top up here because I'm showing that he does only get 5 primary. So maybe I actually managed to take that top, my expansion back from him. So yeah, we go for primary, he scores 5 points. Then going into Gorny's movement, these Aberrants come down here to join the party. This truck moves up and the Genestealers move kind of laterally across from it. The Saboteur does come out to be able to chuck a big grenade, as does this Saboteur big grenade here. These Genestealers come to join the party. And as does the 10 Genestealers and Patriarch. They show up 9 away here. Oh, that's what's going on. There's also a Lictor in here. I apologize. Because I was like, I know he had 3 units to be able to charge. So there's also a Lictor in this fight. That's probably what helped me. That's right. The Lictor went in and precisioned out the Biophagus. I apologize. I forgot about that. Lictor came in, precisioned out Biophagus, Maliceptor and Raveners finished off the rest of the squad. And that is also why Gorny is going so hard into this corner, because this Patriarch with 10 Gene Stealers can show up 9 away from basically all of them, pop a CP, and it's like a 5-inch charge. So he gets +1 for all 3 units and +1 for his detachment. So he's 9 inches away and gets +4 to charge for a CP, and is pretty excited about that. And then, yeah, everyone else lines up over here to take on the Swarm Lord. And he does show up here and flames the Norn on the objective, as well as shoots it with a Reductus Saboteur. And this guy kind of retreats over to here to screen. These 5 Gene Stealers come and join the combat, and that's what this is these 5 dudes showed up to also flame the Maliceptor. Okay, so going into shooting, as discussed, the truck shoots at the Maliceptor. The hand flamers shoot at the Maliceptor. Not a whole lot of actual shots down there, but we also have the Ridge Runner shoots at the Maliceptor. So giving him all the extra AP, ignore cover, all of that stuff. And then the other Ridge Runner shoots at the Norn. And then goes with the Reductus Saboteur and the Hand Flamers at the Norn. The Norn only takes 1 damage. I saw that he has 15 wounds left. So Norn only takes 1 damage from all of this. But then we go into the charge phase, because Gorny doesn't have a whole lot of guns. So these Gene Stealers do charge in to fight Swarmlord. Everything makes their charges here. This just becomes a disgusting mess of everything. Yeah. There's 15 Gene Stealers, a Patriarch, 10 Aberrants, and an Abominant all down in this combat with 5 Raveners, a Lictor, and a Maliceptor. So the Lictor does have fights first, and I think kills a couple Gene Stealers, but that's all he was able to fight. So I think he kills like 3 Gene Stealers. And sorry, this melee becomes absolutely insane. I don't remember everything that happens, other than I do know the Maliceptor once again exploded. And that explosion actually made it where I was going to have a Ravener unit survive. And instead, the explosion finished off the last Ravener, who had 2 wounds remaining. So everything over here died. This is Gorny's objective, and I do think I managed to kill the remainder of that Aberrant unit. So there's, at the end of it, at the end of this combat, I am looking at the picture and I see the Abominant has lost his first life and stood up with 3 wounds. And then there is just, 15 Gene Stealers and a few Aberrants in the other squad remaining. And up here, he does kill Swarmlord, but I think I interrupted, or I got to fight before the Aberrants, and I did just kill the 5 Pure Strains. He does bring the 5-man Aberrant unit back with his Resurgence points, which brings him down to 2 Resurgence points, and he has another 5-man Aberrant unit in reserve. So obviously I am running out of resources, and Gorny does still have some Resurgence points left. But we are now going into my turn 3. That was a very good go turn for Gorny. He killed everything that he targeted. And minus, I think he probably wanted a little more chip damage on the Norn than the 1 wound that he got, but he did manage to kill everything else. So we are going into my turn 3, and my Swarmlord is dead. That is normally reasonably problematic. But also at the end of Gorny's turn, I do spend a CP, and this Maliceptor says, you know what? That's a lot of stuff over there that I can't handle. So I spend a CP and pick up that Maliceptor. And I've just decided, you know what? Gorny can just have that objective. He threw literally like 2/3 or half his army onto that objective. it's now his. He can have it, and I will just play the rest of the table. So going into my turn 3. For my turn 3, I draw Establish Locus and Recover Assets. So all of these action secondaries, which is a little annoying when I only have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units on the table remaining. And I'm supposed to do 3 different actions at least if I want points. So half my army has to be doing actions this turn if I want those points. So what ends up happening is these I do score the Big 10. Once again, the Biovore Norn combo is at least getting me all the primary that I need. So as far as movement, this Maliceptor moves up to take on these guys. This Spore Mine, I don't know, it moves over to kind of protect my home a little bit again. Just prevent these advance and charging Gene Stealers is kind of the main idea, although I also didn't want them to charge onto to be able to charge the Spore Mine and then pile onto my home. So I was kind of doing this weird, I want to be just outside a charge range, but also stop you from advancing and charging the Biovore. This Pyrovore was able to just barely walk outside of my deployment zone, and then these guys walked over here. The Norn really wanted to shoot and kill these 5 Acolytes, but instead ends up doing an Established Locus, and this Maliceptor shows up right here. And instead of shooting a Spore Mine, the Biovore does recover, the Pyrovore does recover. So my 3 units of my 6 that are doing actions this turn are Biovore, Pyrovore, Norn. And then that leaves at the top, I have 2 Maliceptors and Raveners to be able to go and kill off these Aberrants and Abominant. I do kill off the Aberrants, although I think I killed off 2 in shooting, and then charges. I charge the Raveners and the Maliceptor in, and managed to kill all of these guys. The Aberrant does stand back up right here. So I do end up having, he actually stands back up on the other side of this wall. Again, sorry with the wall placement here, but I have Aberrants here, Maliceptor here, and the Abominant stands back up on the other side of the wall. So that is it for my turn. Again, I score my Established Locus and my Recover Assets, and I apologize, I need to give Gorny also his 3 points for his Sabotage that he finished on turn 2. As well as, I should give him his Bring It Down and Storm Hostile that he also got for killing off everything off of that, off of his expansion objective. So anyways, score recap at the end of turn 3. Obviously, I'm ahead on primary thanks to the Norn, with me holding my home and the Norn's objective every turn, whereas Gorny has only held his home. And then for secondaries, Gorny is beating me by 4 points on secondaries. So I have the oh-so-slight lead of 38 to 32 going into top of 4. Gorny draws Marked for Death and Overwhelming Force. So I mark, I think, what all do I mark? I mark the Biovore and both Maliceptors, I think. Yeah, because that's what's really difficult for him to get to. Then he gamma marks the Norn. And for Overwhelming Force, obviously, he just needs to kill either the Raveners, Maliceptor, Norn, 2 of the 3 to get Overwhelming Force. As far as primary, he does now finally get to the Big 10, holding his home and his expansion. As far as movement, it's pretty simple. Everything rushes the Norn. So we have these guys come over here, Saboteur stays there. These guys, everyone comes up. And I believe the 10-man Gene Stealer cult advances and charges. Or 10-man Gene Stealers advance and charge. Yeah, literally everyone. And then to go and take this objective, we have the Saboteur and the truck. These guys remain back. The Acolytes remain back to screen. And this guy also moves forward. This guy moves to poke out. Keep in mind, again, this L is opposite. So he has both Achilles Ridge Runners able to see the Norn, and everything goes here. And then the Aberrant just stays where he's at, so he doesn't get, or Abominant stays where he's at, so he doesn't get overwatched. And then these guys show up here. So in terms of shooting does a little bit of damage to the Norn, but not a lot. But he very much has the extra AP into me. And then in terms of charges, the Abominant goes in and just charges the Raveners. Everything charges here. He does make like the big important one, which was the 8-inch charge from these Gene Stealers, as well as this charge here and this charge here. So absolutely swarms the Norn. Don't remember who goes first, but the Abominant does kill off the Raveners. There was only 3 left. And even with the -1 to hit from the Maliceptor, manages to kill those. And then up here against the Norn, at some point, what I have here is the Norn is down to 8 wounds, but by the end of the combat, the Norn unfortunately does go down. I think it did come down to the final roll of the Patriarch. So he did everything else, and then the Patriarch, and I think the Norn had like 3 wounds left. Patriarch with dev wounds that are flat 3 damage. I think handed me 3 of them or something like that. The Norn went down, but it did take every single squad that Gorny threw in there. And yeah, the Norn collapses. These aberrants at the top here did not make their charge. And I think I did heroic here, and I did manage to take off the second wound from the Abominant after it killed the Raveners. So with that, Gorny does score his overwhelming force for 5. He did kill the Raveners and the Norn. And he gets a 2-point marked for death, having killed off the Norn, which was his gamma target. For my turn 4, I do draw Defend Stronghold and bring it down. And I think I did spend a CP and picked up the Pyrovore and put it in reserves, just in case I drew a secondary that it might be able to do. But I drew Defend Stronghold and bring it down. So Defend I should probably get, as long as, once again, I don't... if Gorny's not able to reach my home. And bring it down, I need to kill a vehicle. So the most likely one that I can kill is his truck. His 2 Ridge Runners are pretty well in the backfield and have dudes there. So what I end up doing is this Maliceptor moves up and shoots at the Aberrants and is joined by, I think he just barely moves to be able to see him, because I don't want to... I'm trying to thread the needle here where I don't get charged by either squad. And then the Pyrovore also shows up 6 away and just kind of tries to movement block these guys. And then I spend a CP and I teleport this Maliceptor from that Nidus Worm over to this one to be able to shoot at the truck and charge it. And yeah, with my shooting between the Pyrovore and the Maliceptor, I do kill off, I think, 3 of the Aberrants. I rolled pretty hot. And it was enough to make him have to take a battle shock check afterwards. I remember that. Then over here, the Maliceptor shoots at the truck, and I think because of the cover saves, I don't know, I did nothing to the truck. And then I do make my charge. I think taking some mortals from the Saboteur along the way, but I also do not kill the truck. I just kind of whiff, and that's really all I had. The only other thing that happened was this Spore Mine actually moved forward and then charged into the Gene Stealers just to self-destruct itself and make it where it could not be a slingshot target for Gorny to slingshot onto my home. So yeah, it self-destructed itself, did a wound, maybe even killed a wounded Gene Stealer, I don't remember. But more importantly, it got itself out of the way. And yeah, as far as secondaries, I obviously did not get Bring It Down, and I am cooking Defend Stronghold as long as Gorny cannot get it. But I don't score a whole lot of points, although, sorry, I did score another 10 primary at the beginning. And we are going into Gorny's turn 5. For Gorny's turn 5, he does draw Assassinate and Behind Enemy Lines. He already achieved Assassinate, as Swarmlord was my only character, and he is dead. And then for behind enemy lines, again, if he can make it onto my home objective, that would be really good for him. He does score the big 10 on primary, holding the middle and his expansion and his home, but can only get 10 points. However, it's turn 5, so I do pop Shadow in the Warp. And let's see everything that gets Battle Shocked. All right, so looking at the Battle Shocks, I did Battle Shock the Acolytes down in the bottom right corner. I did Battle Shock the truck on that home on his expansion objective. I did Battle Shock the 10 Gene Stealers with the Patriarch. I did Battle Shock the Aberrants there as well. So basically everything. Yes, Gorny does get the 10 primary just from holding his expansion objective and his home. And already has scored 5 Assassinate with Swarmlord already being dead. So he just needs to get behind enemy lines and stop me from scoring points. So the way he does that, these Aberrants at the top, they do pop this token, but they basically just fall back into or advance into my deployment zone to give him behind. It does mean that he has to leave the Maleceptor and the Pyrovore alone, but that's how he gets those points there. Over here, these Gene Stealers are not able to get wholly into my deployment zone, so and it's an impossible charge, even with an advance in charge, for them to get to my Biovore. So he gives up on taking my home objective. It's just not possible. And instead comes down and actually does an advance in charge with these guys into the Maleceptor to come and take this objective back, leaving me with just here with just my home and my expansion. And then the Reductus Saboteur, who is not battle shocked, begins to burn his expansion objective. And just to ensure that he has it. And then, yeah, so he just needs to kill this Maleceptor to ensure that he can finish that burn. These guys all come forward to help with that as well. And up top, this Reductus Saboteur and this Ridge Runner advance onto the center just to try and hold that objective. And these guys also come down to try and kill me there. And looks like these guys are like here. I think he's doing kind of the same thing and just trying to put as much OC as possible onto this objective and not give me a free charge onto it. Because these Aberrants, they are battle shocked. So if he were to come after my Maleceptor on my expansion, like he wasn't going to really be able to make a reliable charge into it. And then if I could kind of position myself around the edge of him and then charge into the back of him, it would put me on this objective to out OC him. So he's kind of backing up and just putting the Saboteur and the Ridge Runner on the objective. So he's got his 3 OC on there. And yes, he does end up making this charge with the Broodlord and Pure Strains. Does not actually manage to kill the Maleceptor. He puts it down to 3 wounds remaining. But I am fully wrapped, and he does out OC me with the 5 Pure Strains up here and the Reductus Saboteur. So he has 6 OC to my 4, despite all of his stuff being battle shocked, and I'm fully wrapped and only have 3 wounds remaining. So that is the end of his turn. He does score 3 points for behind enemy lines. And then at the end of Gorny's turn, I do finish my Defend Stronghold. And for my new objectives for turn 5, I draw Secure No Man's Land and Engage. So thankfully, I do have a Biovore to help with Engage. And for my turn, currently I need to score I am looking at Gorny's going to score another 5 primary if I can't stop him from burning. I need to score... So what? I'm down by 16 at the moment. And if he completes his burn, that's going to offset my burn. So essentially, I need to score more than 6 points on my secondaries. And essentially, it's going to boil down to, on my turn, the Pyrovore walks onto this objective and burns it. The Maliceptor walks up to here and has a 9-inch charge into the Ridge Runner. I am able to shoot off a Spore Mine just over here into this corner from the Biovore. And yeah, so it comes down to I need to make this 9-inch charge. And the Maliceptor needs to survive. I might actually have more than 3 wounds. Yeah, I'll just spoil it now. At the end of the game, the Maliceptor has 3 wounds left. So I think I probably went down to like 8, and now am going down to 3 at the end of the game. So it comes down to me making this 9-inch charge with the Maliceptor to get me secure No Man's Land for the full 5. So I am going to get the full engage for 4 points, and I am going to get a 15 on primary. I can't really stop him from burning his, so Gorny's going to get the other 5 there. So with that, that is going to put Gorny at a final score of 72, and I am going to be at 45 plus 20 plus 25 is 70. So yeah, I either am going to get 2 points on Secure No Man's Land if I fail this charge to tie the game, or if I make this charge, I win the game. And I rolled my charge, got an 8. I needed a 9. CP rerolled, got a 10. Maliceptor makes it onto this objective. Doesn't matter if I actually kill the Ridge Runner or not. I'm OC4. Everything else that he has on this objective is battle shocked, so he can't heroically intervene with the Aberrants. He also he just has the Reductus Saboteur and the 1 Achilles Ridge Runner, of which are a total OC of 3. So I do end up taking that for the full Secure No Man's Land, giving me 5 secondary points there. 4 secondary points for engage, and the big 15 primary, and Gorny getting another 5 primary for both of us burning our expansion objectives. For a final score of 75 to 72, I might have just done... There we go. I gave Gorny 10 for burning instead of 5. So there we go. Yeah. 75, 72. Paint score makes it 85, 82. And I do end up barely getting the win. It was very close to a draw. Very tight game for both of us. I did have the advantage of going second on Scorched Earth. So Gorny was fighting an uphill battle the whole way, and he almost got there. As soon as we rolled the dice off for first turn, and he saw that he lost, he's like, he was pretty upset, being like, I've literally lost like 3 games by 2 points on Scorched Earth because I keep going first on it. And that's exactly what basically happened again. So he kind of called it from the beginning. As you can see, he's got way more material on the board than me. Shadow in the Warp was huge. If he hadn't failed that many battle shock checks, he would have won, because we at least would have tied, because he would have had the center. But yeah, so my Maliceptor at the bottom lives on 3 at the end of the game. The Maliceptor in the middle ends up being able to take that because everything else is battle shocked. So keeping my Shadow in the Warp until turn 5 ended up being pretty much the thing that won me the game, despite me only having, 4 models on the board plus a Spore Mine. But we got there. So we are now 2-1 at the end of round 3 and day 1. So going into day 2, I am 2-1. Thanks you guys for watching. I will catch you all on the next video, round 4. This is a 6-round event. Catch you all next time. Into the Hive Mind. Thanks for watching.